Welcome back, dear students. So today we will take another step further to creating the EC2 instance. So in last section we discussed a few basic thing about EC2, and now before we start creating EC2, it's important that you know and understand these basic terms like what is VPC, that is virtual private cloud, what the subnet is, elastic IP, and instance types. When we talk about virtual private cloud, this is a kind of private network within your Amazon cloud account where you can create different small subnets as per your requirement, and then you can create your EC2 instances under those subnets. So if I just want to represent you in term of diagram, then you see, like, let's say I'm taking here example for Mumbai region. So every region has a default VPC. By default there is one VPC. However, it is up to you if you want to create a VPC with your own CIDR value, that can be created. So CIDR notification, or this CIDR is classless interdomain routing, is that is what is CIDR mean, and this is the network ID for your VPC, and then within this range every availability zone has one subnet. So this is coming by default. So let's say if you do not do anything, this is available by default there, one VPC and then subnet in each of your availability zone, and then there is default internet gateway also mapped, and even default routing table is also there for internet mapping. So these are actually public subnets by default. So I will just pull my AWS account and I'll show you a few things. So this is my account where I have logged in, and you see here I have selected Mumbai region, and if I go to EC2 instance, I can just right away start creating the instance. But before creating instance, it's important that you also understand VPC. So let's go to services, and here if I go down to networking and content delivery, you see here VPC. So that is isolated cloud resources, virtual private cloud. So if we go here now, as I explained with the diagram, so you will see here your VPCs by default always there is one VPC with one IP version 4 CIDR created already, and then when you go to subnets, you will see by default always 3 subnets are available there which are mapped to this VPC, and then there is always a routing table. That route table is by default containing 2 routes. So one is local route, that means all resources within the VPC will be able to reach to each other, and then another route is for internet gateway. So by default internet gateway is mapped, so all these are able to reach to the internet. Then there is one internet gateway which is mapped within route table. Egress only, that is your outbound traffic, it's not defined by default. It's also default DSCP. Elastic IP is not there, you can have it. And then manage prefix list, that is something you want to create prefix for your resources. Endpoints we will discuss later, endpoint services, net gateway, peering connection. So all these are the options which are available under VPC, and you should know about these options before you start creating the instance. So once you are familiar with the VPC, next is then you have to create your resources, and we will start with EC2 resources here. And one more thing I want to add here is, let's say you don't want to go with the default VPC setup, you can always create a new VPC. I think for VPC itself it is a big and vast topic, and I will be covering it in a separate video tutorial. For now, you must know what VPC is and how it is creating different components by default. For more, you can just simply go here, you can just type AWS VPC, and then you can see here what is AWS VPC, and then you get a very nice definition description given here the way I have elaborated in the diagram. Every region has one default VPC, then every VPC have region specific like availability zone specific subnets, and then each subnet you can create your resources. Then the various features are given here, subnets, addresses, everything is explained here, and I will be covering all these topics in a detailed VPC session later. For now, just you need to understand that what VPC is. So VPC is a private network. Within that network you can create your resources under different set of subnets, small networks. And for more, you can also refer to my networking tutorial series, and the reference I have given in the description below. So I recommend you to read and go through that as well. So once you know about this, now we will go back here, and I will go back to EC2 instance, and now we will get started here. So what we need to do is, I will go to launch instance. So I create here, I give name, so I'm giving it CS365 class VM1, let's call it this. Then here I will go for the free one. I will select here Amazon Linux, then Amazon Linux machine image. So I will go for this free tier eligible. I'm selecting from here. Otherwise you can always choose other one also here. I will go with the free tier available. Then here the architecture will go with the 64-bit architecture, and then instance type. So I will select here T2 micro, that is the free tier. If you remember, in few chapter before we discussed about different type of instances. So here just for demonstration purpose we'll go with T2. We will go with T2 micro. Then key pair, very important one, because in order to log into your EC2 instance you have to create the key pair. You can create a new key pair, and if you have existing one you can always use that also. So in our case this is the first time we are creating, so I will just click create new key pair. I call it CS365, and then we call it class VM key pair. And then here is the encryption, so RSA encrypted private and public key, or ED25519 encrypted private and public key. So these are two different type of encryption types. For now I will go with this one, that is RSA. Then private key file format PAM, for use with OpenSSH. So like let's say if you want to connect from your Linux machine or from your shell, then we go for PAM. And like let's say if we want to do using let's say Windows system where we have PuTTY as a client software, then we can use PPK. So let's get PPK here. I will be demonstrating it using my Windows system. Then create a key pair, and remember that you have to keep your key pair safe. If you lose it, then there is no way to recover it. Rather you have to go for another instance by creating from the image to recover that. For now I have downloaded my key pair here, and that is done. Now network settings. So network setting now just are very important. Pay attention here. So network, you see the default VPC is automatically allocated. Subnet, no preference, but if you want to go for a preference, just click edit here. Then let's say here is default. If you do not want to go for default, then create new VPC and map that VPC here to your instance. Same way subnet, no preference means it will automatically select, otherwise you can choose from here. So see, we have 3 availability zones. So out of these 3 availability zone in Mumbai region, you can create in any of subnet. So like let's say if you want to create some high availability solution for your application, then maybe first VM can be here. So second VM you can create in second availability zone, and third VM you can create in third availability zone. So those high availability and topology scenarios I'll be covering in my later sessions. Auto assign public IP is enabled. You can disable it also. If you disable it, then your VM will not be available to the public access. But for now we need public access because we want to access it for demonstration purpose. Security group, very important. So this is inbuilt firewall within your VPC, where you can create different rules that what should be accessed and what should not be accessed. Security group name you can give here. So we call it CS365 security group, SEC group I call it. Then description require. So launch wizard, this is just the description. We can just keep it as is default, or you can change it as well. Now inbound security group rule, important one. So here SSH, TCP protocol, and 22 protocols I have covered in my networking session. I'm just rephrasing again. Do listen my that networking series. You will get to know really lot of important things about network. So we keep it 22, anywhere, all. So we are keeping it like this so that we can connect to it. Advanced network configuration, we leave it for now as is. Configure the storage. So by default 30 GB is free in the free tier, and here there is one disk, it is saying 8 GB. I'll make it 20 for now. And this is the type of SSD that I will be getting, GP3. And if you want to have more volumes, you can always add here, add new volume, and that is it. You can launch multiple instances. We will launch here one at a time. If you want, you can, let's say if you want 5 instances, you can even create 5 instances. So that is it. And now we will create launch instance. Once you click launch instance, it will take 4 to 5 minutes, and then it will be ready. So now successfully initiated launch of instances. Now if you want to see the progress, what you can do is you can simply go to view all instances. and you see here the name that we gave appeared here. This is the instance ID, and the state is pending because it is still coming up, so it will take some time, then it will be up and running. And you see here it is running. So now if I click here, you see the instance ID, instance name, IP address, private IP address, everything is here. It is up and running. So now next will be to access it using the private key. So we'll see. So we will do this in our next chapter. So subscribe, like, and hit bell icon to my channel. Thank you.